Legislator Hathaway.
Here.
Legislator Berkler. Here. Legislator Gilbert.
Here.
Legislator Chartrand.
Here.
Legislator Morahan has been excused. Legislator Leviker.
Here.
Legislator Osborne.
Here.
Legislator Nellenbach.
Here.
And Legislator Dolhoff.
Here. Please stand for the invocation and the pledge. Ian, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the blessings that we enjoy as a community, and especially this week, we thank you for the freedoms that we have as Americans, Lord, to meet peacefully as elected representatives of the people, to do their bidding, Lord. And we ask that you would give us patience, that you would give us forbearance as we work together to pursue the common good in this county. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The June 5th board meeting minutes have been distributed. If there are no amendments, they stand approved. Report of the Finance and Rules Committee for Rule 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee has met and they recommend to waive rules to act upon late resolutions.
Need a motion? Lisa, second by. All right. Bill. Thank you, Bill.
You're giving me the eagle eye.
You're the only one to look at.
I won't do that again.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And motion carries. Okay, public hearing. First, we have the public hearing on introductory law number 2-2022, amended local law regulating and permitting special events on county roads, trails, or other county property on any town roads and property where the town has opted in. We'll leave that open for 30 minutes. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on that subject? If not, we'll move on to privilege of the floor. We have two gentlemen that would like to speak. First one being Mr. Scott Connell from Copenhagen Central School.
Thank you. We're here tonight to respectfully request an opportunity to meet with you again to talk about the SRO program. We received a letter from Ryan dated April 14th that basically said, not interested in meeting, this was our final offer. We received the contract from Joan. We cannot sign it. There's things in there that are just unacceptable. And we'd like the opportunity to meet with you again and continue those conversations. We feel it is absolutely that important that that program comes to all of our schools. So that's what we're here for tonight, and hopefully we can get together and have another conversation and move forward with this because our people want it. I'll tell you, during budget time this year, they're begging for us to have it. And I think, and I believe, and I know Todd does too, and the rest of us, it is that important to have now. With what is going on in our world, we need to have someone in our building connecting with kids. You know, and to me, and I think we all agree, it's not so much a guy carrying a gun, it's the relationships that these guys make with kids that know things that we don't find out that the kids confide in them about. And we'd just like an opportunity to have that conversation again so we can move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Just a couple questions. Is this financial or language in the contract?
Actually, both. If you'd like, I mean, we're still concerned with the 85-15 split. I mean, we're going to actually see the SRO in a building about 69% of the time based on a 10-month schedule. That's one we want to continue to talk about. We want them 100%. We're told we couldn't have them 100%. We would love them. We have 150 kids in our building all summer. We have a summer program morning and afternoon. We would love to have them full-time 100% and pay the entire shop. we'd be happy to do that, but again, initially told that was not acceptable to do. A couple of the other things, it talks about in the contract about we pay 85% of their total salary, including overtime. Just don't think that's fair. I mean, we have no control over what their overtime is. If they spend time at the fair or working trails or doing, I'm not sure why a school district would be obligated to pay that. That's another concern. Some of the language, I'm not sure why. I guess Ryan stated in his letter, which I think we need to talk about. I don't know why all the language about what they do outside of school needs to be in the contract. 75% on the trails, 25% on the lake. That really doesn't pertain at all to us. What they do if we go back to not, again, we want them 100% of the time. If that's not what we can agree on, I'm not really sure that needs to be in there. The fact it says the county has unilateral rights to immediately terminate the contract, that's concerning to us. I mean, these guys develop relationships with kids. They're like our counselors. You take that away from a child, that's devastating. So, it's not a lot of, I don't think there's anything we can't come to an agreement upon. We just can't sign it as it is right now. I mean, we're not opposed if something were to happen and they needed to leave our school to do something in the county. We're not opposed to them leaving for a day. And then we can talk about how that's compensated. I mean, if they're gone for a period of time. But the fact that it just says unilaterally terminate the contract at any time, that's a concern of ours as well. So I don't think it's anything we can't agree on. We just need to have the opportunity to meet again.
I have no problem with that. We can schedule it for committee meeting. The problem we have now is if you're looking to alter that contract, I'm not sure we can get it done by 1st of September. So with that in mind, we'll have an internal conversation and we'll get back to you when we can hold a meeting.
Greatly appreciated.
Scott, I don't know, I'm sure you don't want to put words in the other superintendent's mouths. Do you know where they're at as far as 100% versus an 85-15 formula?
All in. I know Beaver River right now is not in at this point, wants to be in some fashion. The rest of us, Harrisville, Loudville is not in as well. Harrisville and South Louis are both interested in 100%.
I can speak to kind of the perspective of Beaver if you want me to jump in. Just one thing.
It's up to the chair.
Yeah.
You can talk.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Green's wondering if he could talk.
You want me to jump in on the
You're up next.
perspective? All right, so I'll just jump in. So I appreciate your time today. Really thought I'd give kind of a second perspective as well. It's very similar. We're not, Beaver River, we haven't had a school resource officer or an SSO or anything along those lines. Our focus has been mental health. We see the next step to move forward is in the school resource officer area. We know it takes a while to get things set up, so we're actually first looking at a school's safety officer through civil service. It makes sense for us to start off that way. Some of it is financial in terms of budgeting. Some of it is availability of staff. We know how long it takes to get an SRO up and running, so we may be able to get things started quicker with an SSO. But I do see down the road, looking at an SRO is a better fit for school districts, especially when you see what's happening, I would say nationally, while sometimes it feels like it's not going to come here. I think we can't deny that it's a possibility that rural communities are starting to see the effect of this. So I think the conversation around the contract is very important for us to make sure that we're together on that. I would say a school like us, who are summer school programs, we usually go to other school districts for summer school programs. Right now, with our money, we're able to hold some summer programs. They're going very well. Our numbers aren't huge. I see probably down the road, we may go back to what our other model is. So a school like ours, it might make sense for us to do a 10-month, 2-month type contract. So that is a possible way to look at what we would do for our school district. So I think we've all got kind of different models. Well, actually, there's probably 2 models. One would be the 12-month model because of the summer programs that school districts have. And then for school districts if we don't have the summer programs, we would probably look at that 10-month, which I think would then give that opportunity for your recreational patrol to do that as well. So that's really kind of the perspective, and I think you got those two pieces. And I would say the only other one that's not in right now is Laval, and their perspective is that they've come and they're interested, I would say, to be part of the conversation to see what that looks like. So, any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else for privilege of the floor? Sheriff Carpinelli.
I just want to back up the school superintendents. I agree with their feelings on that. And I've always had a problem from the beginning of our program as to why that the need that the legislative board needs to have control of this contract when they're actually sheriff's deputies. And they do come under my office, under my command. And they're also in my budget as well. The problem is when you take them out of our budget and put them into the school, I think that the taxpayers are getting a double whammy there. I'd like to be able to come back also as well with the superintendents and the deputies who are working there and sit down at the table again and have this conversation again.
Could you just explain the double whammy? I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I think that the public is paying school taxes, correct?
Yeah.
They're also paying county taxes, property tax, which means they're paying, I think, twice.
Okay.
That's all.
Do you have an answer to that?
What's that?
I said, do you have an answer to that?
No, I have no answer. I'm asking that question. That's all.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. Okay, anyone else? Presentation of petitions, communications, and notices. Cassandra, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A resolution was received from Schuler County to improve probation and alternatives to incarceration programs in New York State in order to protect the public and reduce reliance on prisons, jails, and detention. A letter was received from Sheila Callahan regarding a highway condition in the village of Fort Lyden where the pedestrian walkway was eliminated and the ditch was enlarged by 1 foot in depth and 3 feet in width, creating a hazardous condition to motorists and pedestrians. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Reports of county officers and departments, please.
Thank you. Legislators received the monthly treasurer's report, monthly highway and solid waste audit reports. Brian Mooney, sealer of weights and measures, submitted the March and May 2022 reports, which have been placed on file with the clerk of the board. Legislators received a report from senior code official Ward Daly on a 1984 manufactured home located at 6947 Erie Canal Road in the town of Watson, which was condemned. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving on to reports of standing committees. Tom, would you start us off with finance and rules, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to move the July legislative committee meetings to Monday, July 18th, due to the opening day of the Lewis County Fair being held on Tuesday, July 19th. I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Lisa, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And that's all I have at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Tom? Thank you, Tom. We'll move on to Ian with General Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any motions, but I will note that there's a late resolution in the packet. Came to the attention of Matt O'Connor, Building and Grounds Supervisor, that the Sallyport Gate at the Public Safety Building needs repairs. This is a resolution to authorize an emergency repair contract with Taylor Fence Company, New York LLC, to have this fixed as quickly as possible. That's all I have.
You're moving.
That's not a motion.
Right. Okay, any questions for Ian? Thank you, Ian. Moving on to Lisa, Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion to authorize Community Services Director
of Patricia Fralick to create and send out an RFP for required medication assistant treatment programming in Lewis County Jail as outlined in Chapter 432 of New York State Correction and Mental Hygiene Law. I'll make that motion.
Moved by Lisa, second by Tom. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Second motion to authorize Community Services Director Patricia Fralick to create and send out an RFP for an IT solution to improve referrals as well as interagency and community communication to enhance wraparound case management services in Lewis County. I'll make that motion.
Moved by Lisa, second by Dick. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries.
And that's all I have.
Any questions for Lisa? Thank you, Lisa. We'll move on to Dick, the board's rep on the hospital board.
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Dick? Thank you, Dick. Report of the project manager. Jim and Nick Garrido are here. Gary, give us an update.
Again, I'd like to thank the board for the opportunity to report. I'm very happy with the progress and the relationship between the prime contractors. Everyone seems to be working together as we move forward. One of the challenges in today's industry is procurement of materials. Phil asked a question recently, and one of the things we pushed for during the bid qualification and early on is for the contractors to get the stuff ordered, get it in the warehouse, and put the job together. The contractors have been moving forward with that approach, so hopefully we won't run into any problems with materials. At this point in time, we're not aware of any. So on that front, things are going real well. And Nicholas would like to provide an update on the schedule. He's on site every day.
I'll start with the maintenance shop up by DSS. Originally that wasn't supposed to start until September 1st. As of right now, the walls are framed up, trusses are set, and the underground plumbing and electrical is going in as we speak. That particular building is months ahead of schedule. Wash bay, the roof planks are scheduled to arrive this week. Later this month will be the underground plumbing in that building as well. Cold storage, foundations were dug, footers were poured, walls will be formed this week or probably this month. And the highway garage foundations will begin as soon as the cold storage foundations are complete and backfilled. Structure's looking great. So thank you.
Jim, I'd like to mention that I appreciate the fact in your committee minutes, the meeting minutes, that you always reiterate that we're not going to pay for extra cost on materials. It's important, and you've always told them, as you said, get it in. We'll pay for storage, but we're not going to pay extras for the material, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. And during the interview process, that was a topic we discussed. I think we need to make sure that we have materials. That's important. Thank you for recognizing that. Another thing, if any of the legislators ever like a personal tour, we're right around here. We're more than happy. Some of you have regular jobs, can't get to go to one of the meetings, but please feel free to reach out to us. Any other questions? Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we'll move on to the county manager report, Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Believe it or not, we have begun planning for the 2023 budget. This year, our new purchasing director, Brian, is going to handle the capital budget. So he started meeting with department heads, or will be starting to meet with department heads throughout the month of July, and start putting together, some of the large expenditures, not only for this year, but trying to look down the road out 5 years to 2028. Connor, the IT director, has started working with department heads on their IT needs next year. So Eric and I will be in August meeting with every single department, going over their budget, and then we'll be right into budget planning. So at the Finance and Rules Committee meeting in August, we typically bring forward a few big picture items, of a first glance at the capital budget at least. In September, Finance and Rules, we typically have brought forward a little few, some more details at that point, usually the personnel budget, changes that we're anticipating in regards to personnel. At the October Finance and Rules Committee meeting, we will be presenting, the large chunk of the budget. Really, it's more of a budget workshop at that point. And then, if everything goes smoothly as it has the last few years, the board will be voting on the budget in November. So it's hard to believe that we're turning that corner, but we really are. And so I wanted to just let everybody know that that process will begin here in the month of July for the county. Other than that, I don't really have any updates. We've been working obviously with Nick and Jim on the projects. We've got a lot going on in the county and all good things. So but that would be my report.
Questions for Ryan? Thank you, Ryan. We'll move on to the treasurer report here, please.
Yes, you should have my written report. Just a couple items I might note or add to that. Again, our county property tax auction is scheduled for August 24th. We are hoping that we'll continue to move forward, with the next step being approval for the foreclosures from the court. I noted on this written report that interest rates, as we all know, are increasing. That is certainly a good thing from our investments standpoint. We are actually starting to see interest income, which a few years ago I would say was non-existent. So that's also a positive sign and will help a little bit as we get into the budget discussions that Ryan just mentioned. And on sales tax, again, you've heard the trends are looking very good this year. I would note, follow up to the information I sent out to you, because we received sales tax payments on the last day of the month of June. I know Phil follows this pretty closely. We actually saw a significantly negative trend on that payment compared to prior years. NISAC does a really good job of trying to investigate some of that information, and the information that they're provided to this point is it's all based on reconciliations in the way the state pays sales taxes and how it's allocated between the counties and New York City. The 2 years of pandemic kind of messed up those calculations the state does, and it's still a kind of an ongoing process for them to do those reconciliations. So I think we're seeing kind of a reversal of that reconciliation this year. So basically every county across the state saw a significant negative in the payments we received last week. Still quite a bit above where we have been in the last couple of years, but that negative did have some impact. Personally, I think that the positive trend is going to remain, but just a little bit of a step back from that last payment. So just one update on the sales tax note there, and I think those are the highlights I would give you for that.
When I saw that, I thought they slipped the budget.
It was almost that large of a decrease, yes. Yeah.
Any questions for Eric? Eric? Report of the Finance and Rules Committee per Rule 7, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Rules Committee reports that they have examined the claims presented for payment in a total amount of $1,941,987.54 and recommend that they be audited and allowed for the amounts claimed.
Any motion? Lisa, second? Yeah. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And that carries. So we can continue with the resolution, we just have to pull out the public law one.
Yeah, it would be pulled then.
Yes, so for the record, resolution number 165 and 167 have been withdrawn. And to be pulled out of the slate are 140, 141, 172, 173, and 174.
Someone like to make a motion to move the remaining resolutions as a slate?
I would do that.
Moved by Phil, second by Josh. Any discussion? All in favor of the packets?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Slate carries. Okay. Back to 140.
Resolution number 140-2022, auditing and allowing claims in the amount of $1,941,987.54.
Someone like to move that, please? Lisa, second by Dick. Any discussion? Roll call.
Legislator Osborne.
Yes.
Legislator Hathaway.
Yes.
Legislator Nellenbach.
Yes.
Legislator Verkler. Yes. Legislator Leviker.
Yes.
Legislator Moorhan is excused. Legislator Gilbert.
Yes.
Legislator Chartran.
Yes.
And Legislator Dolphin.
Yes. We'll have to hold on 141 for a few minutes.
Resolution 172-2022. This is authorizing agreement between the County of Lewis and Taylor Fence Company, New York, LLC, for immediate repair and installation of Sally Port Gate of the PSV.
Who would like to move that? Lisa, second by Tom. Discussion. All in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries.
The next one is resolution number 173-2022. This is a resolution authorizing agreement between the Lewis County Department of Social Services and Pratt Northam Foundation to serve as administrator of the Pratt Northam Careers Care Program.
Moved by Lisa, second by Josh. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries.
We're an agreeable group tonight.
Yeah.
Resolution number 174-2022. This is a resolution to appropriate funds for the Careers Here program.
Moved by Bill, second by Lisa. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That carries.
Yeah.
Okay, let's adjourn for 5 minutes and we'll come back and finish the resolution. And the resolution.
It's resolution number 141-2022, resolution adopting and otherwise treating local law number 3-2022, County of Lewis.
Okay, before we vote on that, we need to close the public hearing, so anyone that would like to speak?
Yes, I would.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I missed it in the beginning. I
okay,
don't know what my head was. The reason I'm here is about the permit again, as you know. I'm hearing different numbers, and I want to get a grip on what the number's gonna be. I've gotten most of the information. I like what you guys are trying to do. This way we don't have to have other towns going in 10 different directions. I 100% agree with that. But I don't agree with, I'm hearing a number of like 150, and to me that is like totally crazy. We have probably over 2,000 ATVs every weekend, you know, after July, in the beginning of the year. In the very beginning, we're busy, then it falls off in June and 4th of July, then it starts picking back up again. I mean, we know that just historically from being here. But I think that number really needs to go up for a lot of reasons. Like I said, we're not putting any extra pressure on the trail system. We have that many, you know, at least 2,000, or at least let's sit back and get a real count of what happens every weekend up here. I mean, I know there's some counters up there, but they're in a small area. They're up by Flat Rock, maybe a little by Montague, but, you know, maybe more somehow, or get a true number before we start doing this, because my event, I'm usually 150 to 250. That's where I fall. This time of the year, it's the slower ones. Come next month, August, September, and October are the bigger events. But like to slap us with that, unless I'm missing something, I'd like to get a little more information. But I think it's not the right way to go. If I'm full and we take the, you know, West Wind, the campground at Snow Ridge, and the Edge, you got way more than 200. I mean, so how do we do that? And it's not fair to us. We're bringing in the money. I know I spent 20 grand on my event, you know, for the season to do it. 10 grand to buy the wheeler, 5 grand in advertising, 5 grand in banners and paperwork, and, you know, with the local paper guy right here. So we're looking for a little help. I do agree with what you're trying to do. I mean, if you want in our waivers, or if you want something written in our waiver with Lewis County in there, we'll be more than glad to do it. Change our waivers in a minute. But our waiver says you have to be registered and insured to participate in our event. If not, do we check it? No, we don't, to be honest with you. But I'd just like for that number to come higher, and let's get some, you know, before we make decisions, let's make sure we got all the information. We don't have all the information. We don't know how many are exactly here every weekend. I see a lot, I'm putting a 2,000 number on it. And that's for the county, that's for everybody. So I don't want to take anybody any more time up, but please consider that before you guys make some decisions that, you know, I'm gonna try to work with you, but if there's a crazy number, I'm just gonna walk away from it. I'll take take it, you know, another end and see what I gotta do with it. But I'm here to support you on it, and I agree with what you're doing. If we get all the towns involved, we got a nightmare. Thank you.
okay. We've had several meetings on this.
I'm sorry.
150 number was a consensus. It's been 50, it's been 100. You yourself said most of your rides were under 150. So we went with that number. That was a consensus of the group that showed up at the meeting. So if it turns out to be a true issue, and we'll revisit this and we'll change the number at that point.
Yeah, and if I could be any help, I'm trying to get numbers together for you, but that's my numbers, about 150 average. Now we'll start going up, and we could be as high as 250. The one time when we were substitute for snow, yeah, we had 400 and something, or 500 and something, I don't even remember. But in general, we got that many every weekend. I mean, so,
Okay.
but anything we could do to help, let me know.
You mind if I ask a question later? Just for my benefit, are you saying that's how many people you get through like Timberview or for an event? Because
What, the 150 number?
the 250 or whatever.
Well, that's when we do our poker run. But what I'm saying
Gotcha.
is, like, that's my poker run, right? Now, so you want me to have to get a permit for the poker run, which I disagree with. We're bringing the money to the county.
Sure.
Everybody's benefiting, and I'm spending the money to do it. But what I'm saying is there's more than that in general every weekend. it's way more than
Oh, I
that.
see what you're saying, okay.
Yes, there's probably about, I'm gonna guess it's 2,000, but that's a guess.
Yep.
So let's do our homework and find out what we really think's a safe number before we put, 150 to me is totally ridiculous. But, you know, what you're trying to do it's tough. You got all these towns barking at you, and I got it, and I just don't understand the town. My town doesn't give us a hard time at all. They're great with us, but some of the towns, you're willing to fix their stuff. Well, what do they want? Why they gotta do this? It just doesn't make, at that point, guess what? Shut everything down and I can't lose no more hair. I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to make it work.
Okay.
All right, but like I said, if you need anything, I'm here. And thank you. Thanks. What you're doing is a good job.
Thank you.
Someone like to move the resolution? Lisa, second by Tom.
Chairman, can you close the public hearing?
Okay. We'll close the public hearing. I thought I did that the last time. Okay. Someone like to move the resolution? I think we had Lisa and Tom. Any discussion?
I know just for the record that as was said, we have gone over this many times. We keep revisiting this thing and there's a lot of competing interests at stake. We have, the local resorts and things like that, but we've also had the towns who are pulling us in different directions and we've worked very hard to reach consensus. And also as far as the permit goes, I think did we settle on a $20 permit fee? Is that what we arrived at?
I believe that's what it was.
It was.
And
And we've
with
done
the
that.
ability for it to be waived in certain circumstances.
Oh, I think, in terms of implementation, there are things we can do on the implementation end to make sure it's as easy and streamlined as possible. So if you have to get a permit, we don't want to make it difficult. So that would just be my final comment for the record. Thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Oh, it's a roll call.
Legislator Hathaway,
Yes.
Legislator Chartran,
Yes.
Legislator Leviker, Legislator Osborne,
Yes.
Legislator Verkler. Yes. Legislator Gilbert,
Yes.
Legislator Nellenbach,
Yes.
and Legislator Dalhoff.
Yes. Is there any other business?
Mr. Chairman, I was going to request an executive session to discuss, update the board on recent litigation and also on contract negotiation.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
Moved by Tom, second by Dick. All in favor? Anyone opposed? We're going into executive session.